Hello and welcome. The beauty about humanity is that once in a while you come across a cause where people from different walks of life come together, join hands, and raise their voice and shed their biases or stigma in this case. Joining us today to lend her voice and say that fertility issues are not a stigma is Saffiedine Yara. She's from London and she's the owner of the Instagram page My Fertility Journey, where she has courageously captured her journey through 10 rounds of IVF, 6 failed transfers of embryos, and on the 7th try, she's been successful and she is now 8 months pregnant with a baby boy. It's a miracle story, and she's here to talk to us about her process, her journey. For our viewers' benefit, would you kindly introduce yourself to us?
Of course. So I'm Yara. I started my IVF journey at the age of 36. I actually went to freeze my eggs at that time, and I was told that I had diminished ovarian reserve. I was advised to start freezing embryos rather than eggs because of my diminished ovarian reserve. Unfortunately, it took me 10 IVF rounds to conceive and 6 failed implantation with euploid embryos. At that time, we didn't know that I had immune issues where I had very high cytokines and NK cells, which means that my body was rejecting all the embryos. And in June last year, I went to see a reproductive immunologist in London, and this is where I was diagnosed with high cytokines and NK cells. So I started reproductive immunology by taking a high dose of steroid, 25 milligram daily. I was on IVIG, intralipid, and LID. LID is something where they basically use white blood cells from donors. They inject it in you to train your body to accept something foreign like the embryo. So once my cytokine levels and NK cells went back to normal, this is when I was able to transfer my final embryo. And luckily it worked. So now I'm currently 8 months pregnant.
On the 7th try.
Yeah, on the 10th IVF cycle, and it was my 7th transfer, correct.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of journey and a lot of challenge for a single person.
Yes, it really is. But I guess determination always pays off.
Right. So you talk a lot about the kind of food that you should eat while doing your IVF treatment and all. Could you elaborate on those?
Yes, I think it's so important that when you're doing IVF to prepare your body way in advance, at least 3 months before, because this is how long it can take for the egg to mature. And the best diet for that is anti-inflammatory diet. So cut down on dairy and processed food and eat very healthy, more like the keto diet, but also like avoid bad fats. So increase your good fats by like eating such oily fish, avocados, etc.
Right. So that's like 3 years, 10 rounds of IVF, 6 failed transfers, and and you've been consciously choosing the food that you take in, and
correct.
It's been a progressive journey.
Yeah, and also taking the right supplement really help. I mean, we can't reverse the aging process of the egg. However, we can help it by taking eating food that's are high in antioxidant, and also taking good supplements such as CoQ10. I don't know also if you've heard of a supplement called NMN. So there was a big study about NMN supplement where if you take 250 milligram daily, it actually improves the egg quality, and it was studied with mice as well.
I see. So, ma'am, the IVF journey, the process, that itself is a debilitating process. And you must have felt very lonely, right? Very often.
Yes, it is really, really difficult, but I think it's really important, I think, to talk to your friends and family and get all that support that you need. I also found it very helpful when I told my company that I was doing IVF, because it is a very daunting experience. It requires a lot of medical appointments. So I didn't want to feel like I was honest with my team because I didn't want them to think that I was taking time off, or taking advantage of the company. So I was very honest about my what I was going through, and I got a lot of support, and I think that was very helpful.
Right. Because
and yeah,
the process must have included a lot of tests and appointments and a lot of time waiting outside with the doctors.
correct.
Very often, maybe you might have felt very impersonal going to the doctor's office or meeting up nurses.
Yes, I mean, towards the end, the doctors and nurses became like a family to me because I was there for like 3.5 years without a break.
Right.
I did one cycle after another, and it was nice to see, my clinic was very supportive. So were my family and friends. Of course, it was very difficult because I wasn't able to take much breaks because I was like racing against time, as you can say. I was 36 with diminished ovarian reserve, and I'm currently now 39 and a half. So that was the hard part of it, especially when you have euploid embryos, you transfer them, and you fail, and you feel like you've climbed a mountain, and then you fall back down, and you have to reclimb again.
And that also not just once, but 6 times.
Yes,
it must
I
have
think
been.
Also it's important.
Yes, please.
Sorry. I think it's also important to look after yourself, try to get acupuncture and, treatment, take a break if you can, like for a month, go on holiday, and not to stress too much, which is very hard when you're doing IVF, not to
That's
stress.
Right. That's what I was trying to point out.
Really, really hard. Yeah. I remember like just before my last cycle, I had my euploid embryo transferred and that failed. And I was like, oh my God, I have to start all over again. And I decided to take a holiday to Mexico. And I think that really helped me. So I was eating very healthy, I was exercising. And then when I came back and I did my cycle, it was actually the best cycle I've ever had. On average, I would collect 4 to 5 eggs. And that cycle, I had 11 eggs. 6 embryos and 2 euploid.
That shows that we shouldn't really be stressed about the entire process.
Yeah. I think taking a break really helped, and also eating healthy and just looking after myself.
Right. Talk about positivity from your side. I mean, a lot of people won't have done it, go on a holiday, taking a break.
Yeah, I think it's important because you have to remember that being too stressed is not going to help. And I always believe that you don't get stressed about something that you can't change in life, but instead look forward to what you can do different.
Right. So the process that you went through, it must be more difficult if you have no support, or there is this lack of awareness in the way that a normal person has to respond to the situation.
Yeah.
So did that add on to the stress?
I mean, it did. I'm not sure if I mentioned that I'm using actually donor sperm. So I don't have a partner, because when I went to freeze my eggs, it was when my relationship came to an end. And this is when I was told that I didn't have enough. I had diminished ovarian reserve, and if I wanted to have a baby, I need to start now. What I did, actually, I connected to Facebook group, Instagram group of single mom using donor sperm. I got a lot of help that way, a lot of support, and I think it's always important to seek help when you need it, and don't keep everything to yourself.
Right. So we often think that we are alone in our own silo with our own problems, but reaching out to people, talking to them really helps.
Yes, it does. And you just remember, I was shocked when I saw how many, women are using sperm donors because either the relationship failed, or they had, similar problem to me where they had diminished ovarian reserve. And also when you go to an IVF clinic, you see how many women or couples who are infertile. So, you start to notice that you're not the only one and you're not alone in this journey. But I think it's so important to be open about it and seek help. And I come from a very conservative family, so I don't think anyone in my family have ever used a donor sperm. So the way I approach, for example, my grandmother, who's very conservative, I said to her, look, if you had a kidney failure and somebody donated a kidney to you, would you be happy and saved your life and all your dreams came true? And she said, of course. So I explained to her nicely. I said, look, I have this problem. At the moment, I don't have a partner. I'm 36. I'm running out. I'm premenopausal. And this is my only option. Would you approve? And she said, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
The power of being open and honest about our struggle and our desires.
Yes. And like I have my friends asking me, what would you tell your baby? I said, honesty is the best. I will explain to my child, I'll be honest with them, because the last thing you want is to lie to your child. And then, once they're adult, they go, why did you not tell me the truth that I was a donor conceived child?
You are a special kind of person, because here you are, Saffiedine Yara, from a very conservative family, unmarried, no partner.
Yep.
Deciding to have a baby alone and convincing people in your family and doing this all alone. It takes a special kind of courage. I congratulate you for this.
And, I hope that I will be able to help many people along the way and give them, that courage not to be scared and to follow your dreams. If you really want something, you can do it.
Definitely. This is a story of such an inspirational story from so many aspects. Wow, I'm getting goosebumps. So
I am looking, once I have the baby, to write my own book about my journey and to give hope to other women. And I'm also working with my embryologist to put a great supplement together, all these supplements that could actually help improve the equality. And one of the things that I found is that women with diminished ovarian reserve taking supplements such as DHEA, which is testosterone, has helped me a lot, and also growth hormone, which is a new study now with growth hormone. But we found that when I started taking growth hormone, I instead of having like 4 to 5 eggs, I had 11 in the end.
Wow. So that's a lot of development, and I know we're only talking today, but of the little that I've gleaned of you, developing a supplement with your doctor is just you, and turning a struggle into a success story is just you. That takes a lot of willpower and determination.
Also, what I would tell every single person who's struggling with fertility, if you've had a number of miscarriages, if you've transferred a number of euploid embryos, please go and see a reproductive immunologist, because it is our immune system plays a big part in this. And if I had known that before, I would have probably conceived after second IVF cycle instead of 10.
Right. So you are creating awareness.
Yeah.
Right. So this process, the 3.5 years journey, it must have included a lot of sacrifices, right? Including financial sacrifices.
Yeah. It has. It was, also financially very difficult, because as you know, in the UK, an average cycle, it costs £15,000, and not everyone has access to that money, which is really hard. So in my case, I was lucky that I had a mortgage, so I was able to release equity from my house to be able to fund my IVF cycles. And also, try to seek fundraising, or you can try to search for, loan or credit card interest free. It is really hard.
Oh, yes. So what is going to be your advice to people who are trying to conceive, have failed a number of times, on the verge of giving up or feeling hopeless?
I'll say, look, if you really want something in life, determination always pays off. So try not to give up. easier said than done, of course. If you've had a number of implantation failure and miscarriages, I would say definitely look into your immune system, because a lot of the time gynecologists, they do not believe in immune system. And we've seen many cases, and I recommend reading a book called Is My Body Baby Friendly by Dr. Alan Carr. Dr. Alan Carr, who started reproductive immunology, has sadly passed away, but he trained many doctors. And it started when his daughter had 5 or 6 miscarriages. And this is when he started looking into immune system. Because if our immune system is too strong, the embryo is a foreign to the body and it will reject it.
I forgive me, but I was going through your social media on Instagram, and I did see you capturing a lot of your immunotherapy sessions, and you even bought a diary.
Yes. Because it's a lot of, when I first started with immunotherapy, I was going to the clinic once a week to get the treatment. I'm still doing immunotherapy. I actually have my last treatment next week, Tuesday. I'm not sure if you've heard of something called intralipid, where it's made out of fats and egg yolk and soya bean. So it's a drip that actually suppresses the immune system. So the body, so it keeps the body calm and not to reject the embryo, because as soon as we get pregnant, actually our immune system goes high. And when you've got immune problem, it goes extremely high, where it's not good for the pregnancy and the body attacks the fetus.
Oh, so it's like your body is trying to protect itself, thinking that it's a foreign body or something.
Correct.
That is something that I've not heard of till today.
Not many people have heard of. That's why we see so many women going through miscarriages and implantation failure. And not many people are aware of reproductive immunology. Because if the embryo has 46 chromosomes and everything in the woman looks healthy, you've done, let's say, hysteroscopy, you've done the ERA test, then there's no reason why this embryo should not implant, unless there's something like your immune issue is rejecting the fetus.
Right. And this therapy that you're going through right now is called lymphocyte immunization therapy, correct?
Yes. So I'm doing that, and I'm doing also IVIG drips, and I'm doing the intralipid. And also I was on steroids in the beginning. So I had to take 25 milligrams of prednisolone before conception and the first 3 months of pregnancy.
How does that help? Pardon my ignorance.
Steroids actually weakens the immune system. So it helps the body not to reject the embryo, and it also reduces inflammation in the body. That's why as well we go back to eating anti-inflammatory diet really helps.
Like?
Anti-inflammatory diet, so no processed food, cut down on dairy, eat basically, I would say the Mediterranean diet, eat fresh, healthy, organic if you can food. So no deli meat and...
Right, that's what I was coming to ask you. The kind of supplements, medications, and the food needed for the full-term, pregnancy for somebody with in your situation.
Okay, so if you're trying to improve your egg quality and you're over the age of 35, well, you could be under, because sometimes we don't know why women lose their eggs very early on in life and why some women have bad egg quality. So I think supplements like CoQ10, Reversatol, folic acid is really important. It's really important to check your vitamin D and your thyroid levels and take some good prenatal supplements. I have a list of supplements on my Instagram that I've posted of all the supplements that actually improve your egg quality. Yes. And of course, I also advise people not to just buy supplements and take them. Always do check with your doctors, because some supplements can do actually more harm than good. especially if you're taking a high dose of something and you shouldn't do.
Right. So always, whatever medication, whatever supplement, whatever food that you're going to intake, it makes sense to run it past your doctor.
Correct.
Right. That brings me to another question. In these 3.5 years of struggle, you must have gone through something that must have left such a big impact on you, such a lasting impression on you. Could you tell us about it?
I think the good impression I've had, it's my last clinic at ARIA. I had the most amazing support, especially from the embryologist, where I got calls every day, telling me how my embryos were doing. I had a lot of support from the clinic, and I think it's so important that when you're doing IVF, is to find the right clinic for you. And I think it's really important to find a doctor that you connect with, and also an embryologist that you connect with, because a lot of, I'm not going to name any clinics, but there are some clinics where you do feel you're not getting the attention or the help that you need. And I think that's really important that you find the right clinic for you. And what I liked about my clinic is that my doctor did everything from start to finish, where some clinics, you see one doctor and every time you go in, you see a different person. And that was not for me.
So it's a connection that you make. It's a long-lasting connection, and it has to feel natural.
Correct.
And there has got to be that instantaneous click.
Yes. Because it just makes the whole process much easier.
There must have been days when you must have felt totally hopeless. I was watching a small clip of you crying.
Yeah.
And as somebody who doesn't know you personally, that's very heartbreaking. And imagine yourself in going through that.
Yeah, it is really hard. And this is why I go back to say, it's important that you choose the right clinic for you. Because when I had my bad days, I was able to call my doctor. I had a meeting with him. I was reassured. This is why it's really important, because there are some clinics where, they say, I'm sorry for your loss, and that's it. Whereas I got a lot more from my clinic.
Right.
And also, having been open about it, I never kept it to myself. I shared my story on Instagram. I shared it with my friends and family. So I was able to get all the support that I needed.
The most crucial support.
Yeah.
Right. And thank you for being so honest and capturing your journey, because that will give a lot of people hope and inspiration to not give up and to realize that their story is not finished yet.
Yeah.
Your story is gonna instill a lot of hope for people here also. I'm very sure of that.
Yes, and I don't want people to think, oh my God, she went through 10 IVF rounds. Would it take me the same way? I had my friends who were much older than me when they started this journey. They were age 43 and they got pregnant 2 years before me. You just never know. It is a bit of luck, but it is also hard work and determination. And this is why I think when you've had a couple of failed cycles, especially with genetically normal embryo, go and check your immune system to see whether this is the cause of your miscarriages and implantation failure.
So in short, everybody's journey is different to parenthood.
Yes.
And time frame is going to be different.
Yes.
That's not a deciding factor of whether you can become a parent or not.
Yeah. I think you should start the journey with an open mind that anything could happen. I have a friend of mine, she was 42. She newly got married. They were trying 6 months naturally. It didn't work. She had one IVF cycle and she got pregnant straight away. And I'm a woman who was 36 and had to have 10 IVF cycles. So it's different for everyone.
That's true. And hats off to you for continuing your parenthood journey and the quest to become a parent.
Thank you.
I just feel like a lot of people would have given up after a few rounds,
Yes, but it's just like I say, you just have to remember, if you really want something, there we have a say, there's a will, there's a way.
It's
Don't
true.
give up. Try to, it's very hard, but try to take a break for yourself. Go on holiday, maybe after a felt cycle. Eat healthy, be healthy. Don't go into a cycle expecting too much so you don't get disappointed. So just hope for the best, but also accept if you fail, there's always a chance to start again.
So expectation setting to be done realistically, and it's more of a holistic approach to get pregnant. Your diets, your supplements, your vitamins, everything has to be very got it.
And also your mental health plays a big part. Try to find things that calm you, whether it's acupuncture, having a massage every now and then, going on a short holiday, taking a break, whatever that is.
I feel a lot of people will not relax enough to take time off from their many rounds of IVF cycles and just concentrate on themselves.
Yeah.
Even though that's important.
It is really important because, if you're very stressed out, it's most likely it's not going to work. So just step back and take a break when you can.
Right. Were there ever days when you just felt like giving up, when you were just reduced to tears?
Of course. I mean, I sometimes had self-doubt. Is it ever going to happen? Would I ever be pregnant? And even the day when I tested positive, I think I bought like over 50 pregnancy tests because I couldn't believe it. But that's why I think you should always believe and have hope, because everything can be possible in life. And, if God forbid, you're 45 and you don't have any more chances, there's always other option like donor eggs. I use sperm egg. I use donor sperm. There's always an option to create a family if you really want it.
Right. It doesn't have to be a one-track approach to parenthood.
Exactly.
Right. Well, it's a lot of things to chew on, and I can only imagine the kind of burden that you were carrying, trying to conceive alone. I cannot let go of the alone part.
Yeah, and I mean it's very common. Every 6 women, 1 suffers from infertility.
Correct.
And it's not always the woman, men as well, because there's a lot of men who have sperm fragmentation. We always think about the egg, but the sperm is equally as important.
Right. How do you relax in such
I
a
have a
stressful...
dog, so I take the dog out for a walk. I do yoga. I do acupuncture. I try every time when I have negative thought to turn them into positive. When I felt the cycle, I go, well, there's hope. Look at my friend who was 42 and she still conceived. Just mean that, I wasn't lucky this time, but hopefully I'll be lucky next time.
Feeding positivity into your brain.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's always easy to have these dark thoughts in your mind, but I think you always have to talk to yourself and remember, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you just have to remind yourself to be positive.
Right. Maybe for a lot of people, these dark thoughts win and it runs away with...
And also seek help, whether you need to speak to somebody that doesn't know you, like a psychologist, whatever that is, there's always help around. There's social media, there's many Facebook groups that, with women who are suffering with infertility, you can get advice and help.
These days there's everything is online. I mean, I still am part of a domestic abuse Facebook group, and seeing these posts and articles are very helpful, and I believe the same for the infertility groups also, drawing support from each other. giving advice.
Yeah.
So, last question, and I just need your permission for this. Is it okay if we use some of your pictures from Instagram to upload in this video? Because we don't have your picture, and I'm very interested in showing that number of needles in one of the picture.
Sure. I mean, now if you look at my needles, I have a lot more. And then the reason why I'm keeping them, because when the baby is born, I'm looking, I've hired a professional photographer to take a picture of, to make a heart shape with all the syringes that I've used with the baby in the middle. So just in case he gives me a hard time when he's older, I'll say, look what mommy went through to have you.
True. And for other people also, when we say, oh, I had infertility issues, I had this issue, that issue, I had difficulty conceiving, we usually just think of it as just another person going through that. But when we see pictures like those, then it hits at home. We understand the amount of sacrifices needed and the hard work needed.
Yes. I mean, as they say in marketing, a picture is worth 1,000 words sometimes.
Yes, true. So, any last thoughts for any expecting parents from here in India?
I'll just say, look, just whatever your journey is, just remain positive if you can. There's help around. Be open and honest. Don't be scared to speak up and to seek help when you need it.
Right.
Because, I was shocked how many people were so helpful and so understanding and not judgmental. Yeah, especially given that I came from a very conservative culture. I thought I would be judged for using a sperm donor, but I was told how brave I am instead. So don't be scared to be open.
Yes. The other side of fear might just surprise you.
Yes. I mean, I was, there were people where they, I was told, oh my God, you've done so many, give up. And I would return, I will answer the question, well, why should I give up when there's 1% hope? And you've had your kids. I haven't had my kids. So you've achieved your dreams. I haven't. Why should I give up? And when you reverse that question, they just go quiet because there's no answer to that.
Right. Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
It's been so enlightening talking to you and understanding the process of what a patient or a client goes through. So with me today was Saffiedine Yara from London. She's had 10 rounds of IVF, 6 failed transfers, and once she's pregnant. She's 8 months pregnant at the moment. She's very active on Instagram, and it's called My Infertility Journey, where she's posting pictures and notes about her journey, capturing notes about her journey, trying to impart hope, trying to show to the world what kind of situation somebody goes through during IVF cycles. And I comment on your bravery, and I comment on you coming out and speaking to people to inspire hope in us.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm really glad that I was able to help.
Oh, we are very blessed. We are very blessed. God bless you, and God bless baby George.
Thank you so much.
All right then.